Hello, my beautiful stars, and welcome back to Path of Spirals Tarot. My name is Claire, and today, if you're feeling drawn to this reading, it's because your inner medicine woman is coming forward today with a message that's going to be very important for your healing and your sharing of healing with others in the coming weeks or months. We're going to be exploring a 3-card spread that identifies the current gift your medicine woman is giving you to share, where this gift wants to be used in the current moment, and the blessing that will unfold. We have a lotus incense burning here that will set a good mood. It smells very good and cleanses the air. And the signifiers for you to choose which group resonates with you today are going to be based on the animal spirit deck. You can choose today a spider, which is an earth card, the sea serpent, which is a spirit card, or a panther, which is a fire card. So you have some black cat energy, we have mythological, subconscious water energy, and we have the fastidious earth energy of the mandalic spider web and the creature that works to create that beautiful web. Which one is calling to you today? Personally, the sea serpent is a card I used to pull for myself over and over and over again. I think it was one of my initiatory totem creatures from the archetypical realm that really helped me embrace, not only embrace, but also identify some fears I was having about my own inner power and the subconscious emotional depths that I have the capacity to go to. And I needed some initiation into that. I wasn't fully integrated in that energy until I started pulling this card again and again and started doing meditations with it. So not that everybody needs to pick that one. I've drawn all of these cards in many different situations. And the black cat energy is also such a great one. It's all about, think about the black cat, one who kind of takes care of themselves, has good boundaries, bares their teeth at the things that need to be bared at. And yeah, spiders, they are a very spiritual creature, sometimes misunderstood. And they are showing one of the many representations of mandalas with the webs that they weave, which I think is also super beautiful. So you're just going to have a peek, and then we will get started with our medicine woman reading for today. All right, group 1, our spiders. I want you to take the establishing message of this signifier, which is an encouraging card that talks about being process-oriented for abundance. And think about a spider. If it wants to get as many fruit flies or gnats, whatever insects it likes to eat as possible, it can weave a bigger net. And it works, it doesn't build the whole thing at once. It does row after row after row. And it's like, we don't really watch the full process of a spider web being made. And sometimes spider webs are ginormous. And just because we're coming across that completed, the completed web, we're missing a huge part of that picture. And that was how long it took for the spider to make it. You know what I mean? So something to keep in mind. So maybe that could be why this energy was visiting you, a re-encouraging, don't stop, keep working. And people will only recognize the end result, but you'll remember the entire journey of whatever it is you set yourself up to do, okay? Now, without further ado, the Medicine Woman deck is a deck I tend to read upright just because there are so many messages we can get out of these cards upright. And you know me. Maybe you know me if you watch my videos. I have no problem reading reversals, but this deck has so much to offer in its lessons upright. It is based relatively on RWS, but with some key distinctions. So it's something to keep in mind. But we are setting an intention here today to call in Source, the universe, Gus, Allah, Hashem, the creator, the great creator in the sky. Call in that one source energy today. Our angels, archangels, spirit animals, totem animals, your guides, and whatever archetypical energy wants to come forward for a message that will help penetrate the subconscious and bring forward healing and a cleansed aura, and better vibes all around, better frequencies. It's always what I set out to do in all of my readings. But divine feminine readings, medicine woman readings, discovering your magic readings tend to be very uplifting. We're not really looking for or identifying, negative facets of life. It's about self-advocacy, hyping yourself up. And we need that in a world of critique and harshness, and in a world that is doulaing itself through the fall of empire and patriarchal energies. We must continue to focus on that which we want to see in the world and reinforce that positively. Pavlovian reinforcement of positive vibes. Without further ado, we'll start with this card. Okay, with the medicine woman spread. Ooh, okay, so the gift that you have with the medicine woman is reminding you of is the high priestess, right? The high priestess or the seeker. Have a closer look at her. So beautiful. She's got her feet in the water, the moon shining over her. The trees are basically reaching out towards her. And she has a mirror so she can see the reflection of herself, but she's also looking away towards somebody and sort of breaking the fourth wall, right? That indicates some type of self-awareness and like metacognition that is we should have more of it in the world. It's kind of coveted. The high priestess is known for not needing spells. She can just think it into existence, right? She doesn't need to do much. She is, oh boy, what do I want to say? A plasmatic flow of energy. And what she thinks comes to reality quickly, so long as she sets continued focus onto it. The high priestess has very much knowledge, high, deeper inner knowing. She is both deeply rooted in her subterranean, and she's also able to reach high into the cosmos. She has very good cosmovision. She is a force to be reckoned with. Okay, that's your medicine woman energy. But how does this medicine woman energy want to be used? Wants to be used with chariot energy. So there needs to be more direction and will with this power that you have inside of you. How can you direct it? This is also something of like although this card is ruled by Cancer, this card itself is a very yang energy. It's a very animus type of energy. So we're looking to see this divine, symbolic, sort of almost Piscean energy, the moon energy, get channeled into something more stable and form. Stable, instead, as opposed to being formless, having a form. Containing it with some type of direction, goal, or mission. We're also in the year of the horse, charging full ahead. So this sort of like this energy that you have is something that you have kept to yourself until the right time. But the cards are sort of saying like the time is now to start sharing more of that energy and not being afraid of that energy coming more to the forefront, right? There's also an implication of victory here. This card is called the Warrior. There's an implication of victory coming when this energy takes on this form, right? This could be being a spiritual teacher. It could be developing your psychic skills more. It can be a lot of things, but it's about putting yourself out there a little bit more and having discernment about where you feel honored when you do take up that space, right? And it's sort of imperative that you take on this sort of warrior energy. We are living in uncertain times, and one of the ways we can equip ourselves is with, like I've said again and again, self-advocacy. Advocacy of through channeling the dream realm into basically weaving it into something that can be articulated earthside, because so much of this card is something that remains in the realm of ideas, archetypes, liminality, the things that remain unsaid. But the paradox is, how can you take something that tends to remain unsaid, but make it visible, right? And then what will unfold when this action is taken? See it. It's going to be the Apprentice of Bowls, which is going to be the Page of Cups, Apprentice of Bowls. That's interesting. So it feels like there is this sort of childlike quality to the coming to the other side of it. You know, at first glance, seeing two highly initiated major arcana cards like the High Priestess and the Chariot, especially with the Chariot being the last of the seven, like the first set of the major arcana is like 0 through 7, and 7 is the ultimate manifestation card in the major arcana, right? So to see it paired with the Apprentice of Bowls on the surface can seem slightly contradictory because this is like the Page of Cups, right? But what we're seeing here is it's not so much about you, the High Priestess, being in this sort of childlike state in that you don't really know anything. That's not it. It's about how you are basically couriering your energy with directed force so that others might have a more childlike wonder and approach to being more spiritually sensitive. The way that you show up in the world will invite that energy in other people, which is where people need to start. If more people are not really in touch with the inner child, they are lost. They don't have a roadmap. Because you really, paradoxically, have to give the roadmap to the child. You know what I'm saying? The Apprentice of Bowls. I like that they use the word apprentice, right? It's like an early application with the right intention. And something I love about all the pages that you can't really say about any other court card, in my opinion, is that they are the most pure, virtuous, and aligned with their heart. Knights, kings, and queens, like knights can take action, but they don't always know why they're taking action. Sometimes it's action driven by ego. And queens and kings can know the right thing, but they really prioritize street smarts above all else. So whenever I see the page, it's really talking about this potent, pure, unadulterated energy that you will be releasing in other people, which I just think is really awesome. We've been living in a world where so much of that energy is being suppressed. It's being suppressed. And people almost like, they just like bypass and gaslight the parts of themselves that they're basically deadening themselves if they do that, because really time is a circle. It's not linear. They are still very much in touch with, or they have access to rather, who they were when they were a child. We all do. So at some place in time right now, you are still a child. At some place in time, you are at old age or you're in the next realm, right? And doing tarot readings, doing trance work, being in this high priestess energy brings you into another non-ordinary reality whereby time is more circular. And you're sharing that with people. And think about too, when you play, you lose track of time. Our world, the empiric world that we live in, really commands that we pay attention to linear time. And to an extent, linear time is important for meetings and getting things done. But the other side of it is a resentment that we all kind of get about not being able to follow more natural cycles. Like linear time's not the only way to measure time. Time can be measured in many different ways. Oftentimes the only ways that people who are living like in Western empiric structures perceive time differently is if they are like getting in a car accident, God forbid, right? They can remember every single moment. Every moment, stretches out for infinity before the ultimate impact, right? Or you can think back to maybe when you were a child and feeling super bored. Some parts of childhood felt super slow, just like the time was ticking by really slowly. Or time flies when you're having fun. Also, people, depending on your age, this is interesting. Like if you are, the older you get, the faster time goes. The worse your vision gets, your physical vision gets, the faster time goes. Neurodivergent people also experience time much differently than more neurotypical people as well. But this is all to say that there are different ways to time things. There's also kairos timing, which would be non-chronological time but synchronistic divine time. And that circular divine timing, that kairos timing, is something that you get when you're in a creative flow state, and children get into it all the time. So this is going to be the kind of energy that you're directing and helping other people see in themselves, not taking themselves so seriously, and reconnecting. This is not just about connecting from a novice perspective, but it's about connecting with one's spirituality, right? Connecting with your heart center. So that is where your gift is manifesting, how it wants to be directed, and what's the outcome. So maybe spiritual teaching, or having some sacred conversations with people that are open to it. Like, it doesn't have to be you starting this whole big business with it, but just putting yourself out there, knowing that what you have to say is valuable. I'm gonna pull a card here for you. We have the rabbit. Right? So something tells me that you should have some encouragement to put yourself out there. I just said that because rabbit energy is an energy that is timid. It's an earth card, but rabbits often have the thought of like, well, what they like worship worrying. Like, oh, what if something happens? That's this card. So if this energy is afoot, we are saying, no, we don't want her. Okay, that's maybe where you've been with it a little bit, or I know it's easy to be afraid of saying the true thing, but really, well, elephant's a much better progression. You have wisdom, and what you have to say, people will revere you for it. So you can almost put like elephant here. That's what's waiting on the other side. So something tells me that there's been a little bit of rabbit energy with the seeker card. And that's okay. It's also a little bit novice in its own sense, right? And rabbits have to be very careful. They are not an apex predator. They have plenty of things to be worried about, but also you're not a prey. You're not a prey. Think about elephants. Pinnacle of wisdom. They know what's going on. They never forget anything. And they are like elders. This is a very powerful archetypical animal to be visited by. If you are visited by elephants, then that's very lucky as well. Okay. All right, group 1. That is all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, group 2. Our sea serpents. Almost looks like the Ouroboros. Have you ever seen the Loch Ness Monster? I think I have one time seen something. Also, in Norway, there's a Norwegian Loch Ness Monster called Selma in a lake in a town called Seljord. Didn't know that usually it's just the Loch Ness Monster in, Ireland, Scotland? But there's more than one mythical being, well, potentially real or cryptid energy. And, something I like to say about this card is it can be intimidating. And some people have this primordial fear of snakes. I like to imagine this is more of like a water dragon. And for me, it helps to visualize it has little arms and little legs. You just can't see them. And you can also envision it being although it's looking a little bit savage, you can imagine it however you want to make it more palatable if this is an archetype you feel drawn to working with. Because really what's going on is like there is a part of your psyche that is like monitoring how much from your subconscious gets parlayed to the motherboard, to like your cognitive thinking. And at what rate that's happening is something that your mind pays attention to, because the psyche is a fragile thing and you don't want to open the doors to like spiritual awareness too quickly, especially if you haven't like quote unquote gone to the spiritual gym to get there. So my recommendation is, if you start working with this energy, the sea serpent itself, this represents the second chakra, the sacral chakra, your feelings. The feelings are a gateway to deeper connections into other dimensions, right? It's the gateway right before, connection with your guides and the archetypical realm. So, You can work with this. I'm telling you, you're probably less afraid of this actual monster, if you will, and you are actually just projecting the fear you have of your own depths, and what it might mean to fall too deep into your own depths. Because that does happen every once in a while. Sometimes people get a little in over their heads and they end up perma tripping, or they kind of don't have the container when they open something up. So let's set the intention that you will have that container. Okay? You will have that container, and work with it slowly. You don't have to fly the doors open super fast, just have reverence for the process of getting more deeply connected. As we age, it gets much easier to go more deep, and it gets easier to get in touch with subtle spiritual energies. Okay? All right. With that being said, how is the medicine visiting you today? What gift are you meant to become aware of in this exact moment? Because, sometimes you have so many gifts and you're not even aware of what they are. Or you take it for granted, or it's something that's lying dormant in you, or it's something latent. And sometimes you overlook the gift for what it is. It might feel too self-explanatory, or you just assume other people move through the world the same way as you. Not true. Your gift is the 10 of stones. Think of this as the 10 of pentacles. Okay, it's giving Taurus energy. It's giving earth energy. Somebody who is really good at seeing goals through in the physical realm and making it to the other side. I mean, look at that. There's recognition for and surrounded by community for all of the things that this person's made. They started a jewelry business. Also could be a sign. Are you trying to start a wire wrapping business, or make jewelry out of shells or something? Super duper pretty. It's almost like a marketplace with people buying and selling and trading in the background. And we see this is a young person who's gained the interest of an elder. A crone is taking a liking to the things that, this younger person has made. So you seem to be a crafty, whimsical person, but you're also entrepreneurial. That's so cool. Could use more of that in the world. Okay, well, where does this gift want to unfold in your life? This one. With the 7 of bowls. The 7 of bowls. Okay. So this is telling me that there's going to be some reconsideration of where this energy's been going. It almost feels like you're looking to shift your intentions behind the things that you make or do, or your career, your vocational work, and you just sort of want it to have more of that, sort of give you that little bit more of that creative emotional spark. We have, it looks very much like, a couple, right? Man and a woman together, and a dolphin, and mythical feminine water energies by the beach, by the coastline. So you're sort of looking to feel, it's sort of giving that you have this gift of getting anything you want, master, manifester, really good at making things people want to see. But it's more about saying, why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? Right? Totem animal of a dolphin is also super great. Dolphins are extremely intellectual, very spiritual. They are both revered and somewhat feared for what they have to offer humans. So it's also telling me there's this, it's almost like you're looking to learn something new that you can bring into your practice, but it's sort of in the hidden realms. It wants to manifest kind of in the opposite direction of group 1, whereby we had this high priestess energy manifesting into the chariot, something coming to earth. But it's almost like the other way. You're really good at being on earth, but trying to tap more into something spiritual. Now, 7 of bowls or 7 of cups tends to indicate this confusion and indecisiveness. So what I'm feeling is that you need to kind of sit in meditation, or make a list, or I don't know, maybe take a break from making things and shift your focus for a little bit. Maybe going for a walk, a hike, looking for creative refill of sorts in a different way. You know what I mean? Maybe you're the jack of trades, but you need to kind of shift what you do, or take a break from what it is that you do, and set the intention to kind of get your head on straight with this energy. It almost feels like this energy is purposefully tripping you up. Like you've had a good system going, but suddenly you're sort of feeling like the winds are shifting. The tides are shifting, maybe rather, because we pulled a water card. And you're just being asked, your creative energy is being asked to be channeled some other way. Okay? The blessing that unfolds when you listen to this sort of contradictory information is the Empress card or the Bounty card, right? The Empress is like the manifestation of like anima energy externally. It can be motherhood. It can be just birthing a new idea, being fecund and vital in one's energy. So there is this, well, and she literally has a baby. So we could see this sort of as like a life transition. This sort of medicinal, there's this life transition that's accompanying it. You feel confused because there's more than one thing that wants to be born out of you. Do you feel it in your bones? There's like this, it's sort of like you've kind of got all of your ducks in a row here, but now you're craving for something else on multiple levels. Like that's what this card is, but it feels confusing because there's also some divine timing to it that you're not fully aware of. And it's almost like multiple things are going to shift at once, because that's often how it is. Think about like a rock slide. Like the rocks don't just shift, like rocks don't fall in slow motion, and like rock slides don't happen often, but when they do happen, it just happens all at once and it's like whoosh. That's kind of like the vibe. And we see like the water sort of like flowing out, whoosh, whoosh, right? So think about that. There's sort of this energy slide that's about to happen for you that is going to seem to change your life, but for the better. There's this sort of, especially when you see this as like a major arcana, there are external forces at play that are going to give this to you, but you feel confused about it because you've always known this and you've been good at this. It seems like maybe emotional, spiritual happenstances can be a little bit less at the forefront of your mind, for example. But trusting this energy, even if you don't know it as well, but still trying your best and putting your effort into that, is going to bring you this kind of bounty. And I do feel it's a bit pregnant, to be honest. Pregnant with ideas, pregnant with an actual, like, you know what I mean? Like, not trying to push that onto you if you're going to be child-free your whole life, but just sort of feel like that energy is there. Maybe for a couple of you. It's kind of exciting. I feel very excited. I feel an expansion for you, like Jupiterian energy. Okay, let's just pull an animal spirit card, see if we can denote anything. The crocodile. Okay, this also feels like this would go well with the Seven of Bowls. If you're feeling like confused, the crocodile is about like just relaxing, taking a break. Don't spin the tires so fast in the same direction. It says you need to act. You'll have more luck with rest and relaxation. Don't force, rest, reset, and align. That's a good card to have here. Chill, almost be an observer of life for a little bit. You're so good at taking action, but part of this is about letting life happen to you just a little bit. You know, there's a dance of co-creation here. You know what I mean? Yes. And also being okay with the lunar forces, things in the dark. This would also reinforce this card of bounty, that there are multiple things kind of happening. This card, think about like this tiger is in touch with and at one with the darkness and the energies that come forth, like the spiritual energies that come forth in the dark. Okay. That also implies and reinforces this idea of bounty with this sort of like pregnancy energy, to be honest. So there are these sort of lunar forces. Like much of this reading is saying you're kind of transitioning into this Empress card. So that could be that you are, the Empress is also one who's known for being a mom. And Seven of Bowls can also indicate that there is a level of confusion around you that you don't, maybe you're not even aware of that is coming, or it is here, perhaps. Things just suddenly feel different and there are shifts, potentially. And if we read this outside of pregnancy, you could be pregnant with new ideas. Something else is coming for you. So group 2 is definitely about being pregnant with something. You know what I mean? Being pregnant with something and having to sort of spiritually initiate yourself into energies that you're not really used to. But trust that the gift will unfold as bounty is coming, so long as you sort of sit with that energy. This energy is not going anywhere. It's just going to get redirected. You know what I mean? yeah. So I feel like that's all I have for group 2. Thank you so much for listening. Hello, group 3. Something about this panther with its teeth baring was your group for today. Are you one of those people that needs black cat energy to be a part of your life? Need to be, well, if you're somebody who's going through a transition from the maiden to older maiden, warrior, mother, or just somebody who is aging, getting a little older, learning how the world works, how people work. You might have been somebody who would bend over backwards for other people. It's giving a little bit of like self-worth issues, perhaps. Only if this resonates, guys, but like having an allure for this card or having this card visit you could come after a period of low boundaries, low self-worth, settling for anything, that kind of thing. And that's an energy that's trying to leave Earth right now. And that's like a collective lesson we're seeing people learn. A lot of like Gen X moms could use a little bit more Black Panther energy, for example. I have a family member as well who's younger than me, and this is like her whole life lesson. This must be her Chiron, is trying to figure out how to have more of this energy when she's a lot more like a golden retriever. And golden retriever energy for women can get you hurt really bad. It is better to have your guard up and to have your instincts and wits about you as you age, especially if you have a lot of sacred energy coursing through you, okay? Because parasites exist, people who would like to corrupt it exist, and they are doing what they're doing, and they are looking for a good target. But the panther is a bad target. People would stay away from the panther. The panther is an apex predator. And we all could use a little bit more of apex predator energy inside of our hearts as women. Okay? Less women being collateral, more women baring their teeth and having the capacity to defend what is theirs. Love that. So that's kind of what I derive from this card whenever it comes up. With that in mind, we'll put this to the side over here. She will be there in the background while we figure out what the medicine woman is visiting with you with today. Okay, let's figure out where your gift is at right now. What gift do you need to be made aware of by the medicine woman? I see it. It's right here. The grandfathers. Okay, that's the star card, the healing card, and being in touch with your ancestors, the paternal ancestral energy is an energy and magic that is around you right now. And how does that energy want to manifest? Okay, in the Four of Stones, and then the outcome, the blessing that unfolds, is the Apprentice of Pipes. Okay, so your magic is having your guides at your side. When we are doing healing, like the star card is the healing card, it's also Aquarius. So if you're Aquarius, that might resonate, or somebody around you who's Aquarius, this might feel relevant. The star card is as powerful as it is because we have the most access to our guides and our angels, and we turn to them and want to be in a union with them or in a frequency of connection and bridging with them when we are in a phase of healing. We do not heal in isolation. We heal in community, both in this realm and the astral realm. And now the grandfathers are also known for having an energy that not only heals, but is also, it's kind of like Chariot card. It's a little bit of like forward momentum, like external expression. Like what comes after the healing is a process of sort of coming out of the cocoon and being more fortified in oneself and more wisdom sitting in the bones, right? Look at in this card, like the grandfathers are pointing off, like they're basically showing, say like you're the one in green. They're pointing you the way towards, a star and this beautiful waterfall. They're giving you the direction for internal nourishment. Okay? That is your gift, is you being in touch with that. I've also pulled this card many a time, but this also indicates to me that my grandfather is around, because I pulled this card the day my grandfather passed away. So I always feel his presence and his nod to me when I pull this card. So if you had lost a grandfather, you might also be feeling like a message from them. Now, the way that this healing gift wants to manifest is in the Four of Stones. And if you've been around my channel before, you'll know that there was a period of time where the only card I ever pulled for myself was this specific card. And not Four of Pentacles, not Four of Coins. I was using this deck when I was in a period of time where I was really going through a very huge life transition in my fourth house. If you know astrology, you know. And the Four of Stones is all about stripping back indulgences. Like it's the antithesis of hedonism. It's knowing what you have to get by from day to day to day, and but like also growing this sense of humility, being humble. And although you might not have like a lot of worldly decadence when this card manifests, I mean, anything is possible and you can always manifest more. So sometimes our spirit and our spirit team, our guides, God, Source, the great creator, will put us into tests and periods of time where we are actually asked to live in this sort of Four of Stones energy. It can be seen as something somewhat miserly, think basic survival, keeping things simple, minimalism. But the gift side of this would be commit yourself to routines that you can depend on, rely on what is reliable, and don't get overly attached to the physical world. It's a great lesson to sit with, especially because the creator, God, will always give you more as time goes on. But sometimes we are tested with this gift of survival-based living so that we can train ourselves to be a container for holding more. So something I would ask you, if this is like financially driven, for example, are you a safe container for more money to come in? Are you a safe container for abundance to flow? Or are you more used to the Four of Stones energy? Are you more used to having less? Do you like that? Is that a life that you prefer? Or would you like to have more? Okay. So something tells me that healing wants to come through a nervous system reset with the physical world. That is what the medicine is. That's what your gift is. You're almost being like a portal is opening up to you whereby you are not feeling restricted in the taboo topic that is poverty or impoverished thinking, and not taking it so personally. And I will see that the outcome of this is going to be the Apprentice of Pipes. In this deck, the Apprentice of Pipes, like it could be like fire and creativity, but it's more specifically spoken of in terms of the spirit being a container for spiritual energy to flow. She also has this crane. She's like moving in synchronicity with a crane, if that means anything to you. The Apprentice means the page of pipes, the page of spirit. Okay. So the other side of this is almost like you are harrowing yourself. You're harrowing your spirit right now to become a better apprentice or container for spiritual insights as well. I'm actually feeling drawn to pull out my book. I want to read a little bit more about like what the gift, this is supposed to be your gift, right? The Apprentice of Pipes. Let me see here. So the Apprentice of Pipes in short is going to be feel your body as a channel of power. So that's the gift, what your gift is going to be on the other side of this. Once you kind of really lived in this energy, gotten comfortable with it, and recognized that you are always sustained, it sort of lets you move into this next phase, which is allowing your body to be a channel of power, manifestation, and things of that nature. So if we go through here, we're almost there. The Apprentice of Pipes, the lesson is, and see this as the gift, right? At this point, though you may be well known for what you've done, you begin a new level of study. You work with a true master on either the inner or outer planes. Your body will learn to further refine its talents. What is the message you came to deliver the world? Every fiber of your being is now going to learn to express it. You no longer depend so much on the instruments of your trade. You've mastered them. Now you depend on the instrument of self. Your body becomes a clear channel, energy freely flowing. You are a student again, but filled with grace. that is a very natural progression. Once you kind of come out of the lesson of the Four of Stones, like, and you don't feel activated by it anymore. Like, you'll know that you're moving on from it when you don't feel so much shame around that energy. You just sort of feel neutral and like you're thirsting for something more. It's because you come to this realization that the physical realm, it's all a gift from God, right? It's all a gift from Source, from Allah. And that is something that is your birthright, and that our circumstances do not dictate our worth. And also, the physical realm is just a drop in the bucket of the true reality. So, what you're going to end up ultimately craving, because if you're being restricted in physical connection, it's because your soul is asking you to move more vertically, to be more spiritually aligned, to ask yourself, like, what actually fills up my cup? If you've been in a place where, like, money comes and goes, and when you've had money, you've spent it all because you're chasing a feeling. You're chasing a feeling that you can't get unless you emulate this gift that's trying to come through, the Apprentice of Pipes. To know the self, to know the archetypical liminal realm, to be able to traverse non-ordinary realities is something that has been lost on, like, the Western world for quite a long time. And the only ways we've ever felt like capable of accessing them is through like DMT, LSD, or psychedelic trips. And I'm not saying that there's not something of a place for that in given context, but we can do that without them. But we've forgotten. And your animals, your house pets, they're doing it all the time. It is and it's an easily achievable state with different modalities, whether that's candle gazing or drum beats, right? Drum beats are probably one of the easiest ways to go into that trance state and to do psychosomatic work and to be more in touch with your higher self. Prayer, things like that. Because really what your body is craving is, the next life is like the higher, realer realities than this. And sometimes we confuse ourselves by thinking that it's the physical world and obtaining things in the physical world. Like it only matters when you've attained things in the physical realm while not violating your idea of what success actually is. And for me, I don't know about you, but for me, success means feeling embodied at the end of the day, feeling like I had good intentions and I executed on the task at hand with the right sort of virtuousness. And like I said before, like, I love to see the page of The Apprentice because although they're curious and young, they are pure of heart and they are driven by the truth. And that's ultimately what is going to bring balance into your life. And that is a gift. So it's almost like there's this transition. You've been getting prepared to transition into that energy where there's more alignment and more flow because your focus and attention is going towards that alignment. You're not trying to force it or be so focused, because part of poverty, not all the time, but part of living in survival and like living in that impoverished mindset, it's a distraction. You're used to it and you find some sense of comfort in the familiar hell of that distraction, right? But really, that's not time is wasting, and time only goes faster the older you get. Like you have time, but you don't, you know what I mean? You don't. And the older you get, the more you're going to realize, like, this is a mindset that it's just not even a sustainable mindset. It's not actually a natural state to be impoverished. It is contradictory to the state of the energy of Earth. There is abundance everywhere. It's always flowing. It's always there. But our empiric systems that are crumbling right now, by the way, they have been trying to convince us of something else. Okay? They want us to be more focused on the physical world so that we aren't questioning things. But the time is coming to be more in touch with this. Like, what else would we be doing? You know what I mean? Okay, so you have your ancestors on your side. You're going through a phase of healing, stripping back to what's the most important thing, finding stability and inner nervous system regulation through routines. See it as a blessing. And that'll help shift your focus from, being in this mindset to being more of a channel and having flowing energy that sustains you constantly, more than the physical world can in some important key ways. Okay? All right. Thank you for listening, Group 3. That's all I have for you today. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this video, this reading. with Path of Spirals Tarot. My name is Claire. You can find me here on YouTube at Path of Spirals Tarot. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok, Path of Spirals and Path of Spirals Tarot. You can find me for business inquiries at pathofspiralstarot@gmail.com. I do long form pick a pile readings Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and YouTube shorts Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you subscribe, you'll be getting a little something from me every weekday. I'd love to have you here. If there's anything in this reading that you felt really resonated with you today, I'd love to get a comment from you to hear what that was. And as always, go with peace and grace, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.